Okay, MedMath. One more recording, getting you closer to the test. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, what are you going to do here? Let's go back here. And I'm going to annotate on the screen for you. Highliner. Fabulous. What is important in this question? Thought process. What is important in here? Okay, so I'm reading my question. And I've got tetracycline, 2 grams daily, PO in 4 divided doses every 6 hours. Don't care right now. And available is tetracycline 250. How many capsules should the nurse administer per dose? This is what I'm looking for. Okay, so let's go back and get our annotator and start doing some math. Okay, so how I would set this up is desired over half times quantity. Quantity. Okay, so here I go. I go back up to my problem. And what did the doctor order? 2 grams. My concern is I've got grams here and milligrams here. Okay? One way or the other, I've got to change it. So if I thought about it in 2 grams, I add 3 zeros to it to turn it back into milligrams. So I put 2,000 on top for 2 grams. And then what do I have on hand? Available on hand is 250. Fabulous. And in how much? 1 capsule. Okay. Do I need to put the 1 there? No. Is it going to change anything? No. Okay. So I could just go ahead and put 2,000 divided by 250 and leave it. Either way, let's just go with it. Okay. So you put 2,000 in your calculator divided by 250. And that's going to tell me eight. And it was capsules. So I've got 8 capsules. Okay. Then I think to myself, oh my gosh, that is a whole bunch of capsules. I'm not sure that I've done this right. So then I think about, what does that say? A nurse is caring for a client who is prescribed tetracycline 2 grams daily. Oh, it's every day. Okay. So they are saying every day they need the 2,000, not every dose. Okay. So that's why this word is important. Because when I come down here, I notice, oh, I see they're asking me per dose now. Okay? Then I come back up and I say, well, how many times am I going to go in the room? It's nice. It tells you. So every 6 hours would be 612, 612. So I'm going to walk in the room 4 times. So then I'm just going to go ahead and divide this by 4. And then I've taken care of my per day. Now I can say 2 caps. Every time I walk in that room, I need 2 capsules with me. Okay? 2 capsules would be 500. 500 times 4 would indeed equal my 2,000 a day. So I want to go back and make sure that I am taking care of everything in this problem and not just going too fast. Okay? So does that make sense? Ask yourself, is it asking me per day? Per day it would be 8 caps. But they're telling me to divide it in 4 equal doses. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 250 would give you your 2,000. So go back and double check yourself. How else could I have done that? I could have said, oh, 2,000 per day and they want me to do it in 4 doses. And that would have given me, what's 2,000 divided by 4? That would have given me 500. A dose. $500 every time I walk in, I would have put that desired over have. So I look at my hand and I say, oh, there's 250 and 250 equals 500. Okay? Always check yourself 2 ways. Does it make sense? If it makes sense, then hit submit. If it does not make sense, do not hit submit. All right, good? Fabulous. Let me get rid of all these. This is how you read these. You just go slow and pick out everything you need. All right. Here we go. Next. All right, here's our next one. Let me go get my pen. Okay. A nurse is preparing to administer amoxicillin 500 milligrams PO every 12 hours. Okay, so this one is not telling me per day. It's not telling me in equal doses. It's literally telling me every time I walk in the room, I better have 500 milligrams in my cup. But when I look down here, it's not asking me for milligrams. It's asking me for the milliliters. Okay? So I'm going to revamp my thinking, and I'm going to think, oh yeah, amoxicillin. I believe that's an antibiotic. So I certainly want to make sure I have enough in my cup to kill my germs. Okay. So all this is saying desired over have. What do they desire me to give? 500. And what do I have available? So this is the one that I put on the bottom. And 250 is in how much? 5 mils. So I want to go ahead and put my 5 over there. Okay. So when I put this in my calculator, I put 500 divided by 250 times 5. That's going to give me milliliters. These are milligrams. This is milliliter. Right? So when I do that, when I do the math, it's going to say 10. I want to be very careful. So I go back up and I make sure that that is indeed what they wanted from me, because it would be very easily fooled by telling me to ask how many teaspoons they wanted. Okay, so I'm just double checking. What did they ask me for? I want to make sure. Okay, so another way that you could look at this, I don't want to confuse anybody, but if I ever thought about this, if there was 250 in 5, it's a direct proportion ratio. So if I could think, right, it's basically asking me, if I know there's 250 per 5, how much is in 500, right? So if I look at this, these need to be equal on both sides of the equation. So if I see 250 and 500, couldn't I say, oh yeah, 250 and 250 equals 500. So in order to get from 250 to 500, wouldn't I times the top by 2? So equal proportions, wouldn't I also be able to say 2 of these, 2 of these? If I can say that, then I now realize 5 times 2 is 10. Okay? One more way I could think about that. How do I double check myself, right? So if I know that there's 250 in every 5 milliliters, can't I also ask myself, then what's in 1? Because if I know my lowest common denominator here, if I understand what's in 5 mils, there's got to be a direct proportion ratio here that I would understand that 5 times 50 equals 250. So if I divide 250 by 5, doesn't that give me 50? So if I know that there's 50 milligrams per mil, can't I just come back here and say 50 times 10 and make sure that that equals 500? I have triple checked myself 3 ways this answer is still 10. I am ready to go give my medication. I don't have to find another nurse. Okay? I don't need another nurse to help me. This is very easy once I see 250 and 5. How do I get to 500? Okay? If I had a quarter in my hand, what do I need to add to my hand to get 50 cents? Another quarter. So if I know that this is by 2, can I times that by 2? Okay. A nurse is preparing to administer amoxicillin 320 every 12 hours to an infant. Every 12 hours, she's going in the room with 320 milligrams to give per dose. Okay? So I don't care that it's 2 times she's going in the room. Otherwise, it would have said per day. Okay? All that is a distractor. Don't care. So then I can just come down here and put my desired over what I have available. And what is it in? So, thought process, right? $320 divided by 400 times 5 would get you 4 mils. I ask myself, does that make sense? And that's when I come back and double check it, right? So how do I double check this? One way that I could double check that is by thinking there's a ratio proportion here. If I know there's 405, I can always ask myself, well then what's in 1? And when I divide 400 by 5, that will tell me how much is in 1. If there are 80 milligrams in 1 mil of this liquid, can I come back and double check my math? If I know what's in 1, I can double check myself. Isn't 80 times 4 320? So now I've double checked myself and I realize that I have what I need in my little med cup and I'm ready to go. All right, here you go. Each dose available is 125, and they want me to give 250. Every 8 hours, don't care. I don't want to look at that. I don't want to get confused. All they're asking me is how many 125s are in 250. If, again, I realize 125 is 2 of 250, so when I look in my hand and every pill is 125, don't I need 2 of those in my hand? 125 plus 125 will get me 250, exactly what I want to go give. If this said each day, I would be going in 3 times that day. If I was going in there 3 times that day, 250 times 3 means the daily dose is 750. $25, $25, $25 is 75 cents, right? All right, here you go. The nurse is preparing aspirin 650. The amount available is 325s. What is it asking me for? Simply, how many 650s, how many 325s equals 650? So what do I desire to give? 650. And what do I have on hand? My 325s. Would equal 2 tabs. It did not ask me how many per day. It's asking me per dose. So this is junk to make you jump. A nurse is preparing to administer 0.25. Don't care, because it's asking me how many tablets for 1 dose. Okay, here's the only caveat. I've got milligrams, it's all happy. All I need to remember is, what do I have on hand? What is available? How many 125s go into 250? I realize that this top number looks smaller, but it's actually worth more. So 0.125 plus 0.125 would equal 0.25. So every time I'm going in the room, I'm taking 2 tabs with me. All right, here we go. We've got a nurse caring for a client who is receiving liquid meds. Oh, I bet this is going to say milliliters. Of course it did, because it just told me it was a liquid med. I'm not expecting it to be a tablet. Here's my amount, and here's what I have available. Remember when we talked about peg tubes? That if somebody was on something that was a capsule, you would call down to the pharmacy and get it switched to liquid? This is exactly what you're doing. So you've got 250 you want, and you have available 25. In how much? 5. Okay? Here's the caveat. I could also look at this and say, oh, wait, 25 would go into 250 10 times. Am I not right? So if it were 10 times the amount, wouldn't this be also 10 times that amount? So when I do my math, I'm pretty sure this is going to show up to be 50 milliliters every time I go in the room. But if I wanted to play devil's advocate, I could also say 25 divided by 5. 5 times 5 is 25, right? So if every milliliter equals 5 milligrams, can't I do math here and times those two? Can't I say in my head 5 milligrams per milliliter times 50 milliliters? That gives me my 250. So I have double checked that am I giving the right amount. Why is it important? What is phenytonin? What is that drug? This is why I should start looking these things up before next semester when I really need to know this stuff. Because phenytonin is for seizures, and it would be pretty important that I put down 50 milliliters, and he got all 50 milliliters to prevent him from having another seizure. It's also important that I give him 50 and not 100, or else he'll be asleep. He won't be having any seizures anymore. Okay, look at this one. Here's my amoxicillin. It's an antibiotic again. Can I not say 5 divided by 250 and know how much is in each 1 mil? If I did that and I realized that 5 goes into 250, 50 milligrams, if I understood there was 50 milligrams per mil, doesn't it make it easier to do math? Can I take this 50 and divide 350 by 50? If I could do math in my head, wouldn't I know that that's 7 times that amount? Seven times 50 is 350. I can do it the long way just to double check. 350 on the top, 250 on the bottom. and then times it all by 5. Do I not get 7 milliliters? 7 milliliters. Fabulous. All right, this one's kind of easy because this is telling me 20 milliequivalents. How many mils should the nurse administer? And I'm only going in once to do it. So 20 divided by 10. I would need 2 10s to equal 20. That's 2 over 1, or 2 milliliters. 10 milliequivalents plus 10 milliequivalents would be 20 milliequivalents. I now know I need 2 mils. Oh, good. Look at this. I love these. These are easy because this is all I need. I'm going to look at this and I'm going to say, step 1. Change that sucker to kilograms because my recipe is in kilograms, okay? Here you go. Right here is your recipe. It's in kilograms. So I need to change these pounds to kilograms. So, first thing, 66 divided by 2.2 equals 30. Then I go get my recipe and put my 30 right there. Now, unfortunately, these look like divide signs, but they're really times signs. Okay? So what are you going to do? You're going to go back to your recipe. What does my recipe call for? My recipe calls for 12 micrograms for every kilogram. But I don't want to forget what's back here, okay? I don't want to forget what's back here. I took care of this, so this is done. I want to make sure that I keep these until I deal with them. Okay, now I go and ask myself, what do I have on hand? And what I have on hand and what I desire are two different things. So I want 360 micrograms. Leave that right here. Don't do anything with that yet. So this is mcg's. But when I go to put my number under here, I notice there's a problem. So I either need to go one way or the other. Okay? So if I wanted to keep this simple, I would say, hey, do you want to just change that to micrograms? And if I did that and I wanted to change that to micrograms, I would just times this number by 1,000. Or I would move the decimal 3 places this way. And that would tell me it's 50. If it's 50 micrograms, I'm still good. I've changed that, okay? Or I could set it up the other way and say the 360, these 360, I could say 1, 2, 3, and that would be 0.36. And that would be my leave that down there. Okay? Either way, I've got to do that so that everything equals out on both sides. Okay? So if I want to leave it in milligrams, I can leave it in milligrams. If I want to change it and keep everything in micrograms, I can do that too. One way or another, when I get this answer, 7.2, right? When I get my answer, I need to remember that this was a per day dose. And they're asking me per dose. Okay? So I come back up here and say, okay, now I need to take care of this per day. So I'm going in every 12 hours. How many every 12 hours are there in 24? Then I need to divide that right then and there into 2. And that would give me my 3.6. Okay? So just make sure that you're done before you hit submit. Because if you said 7.2, you wouldn't be wrong, but you haven't done what it's asked you to. It's 7.2 a day. It's 3.6 per dose. Okay? So I just need to ask myself, am I sure I did everything I was supposed to do? Okay? Okay, here we go. Another one. Again, extra information I don't need. This is saying tablets per dose. This is a dose. This is crap. So I just need to make sure my desired is on the what? Top. So I just need to make sure I'm putting these where they belong and not where I think they should belong. Okay? This is saying a 50 milligram tab is available. You should have noticed this is less than 50. So what are you going to do with that 50 tab? It better be scored. Let me tell you. If it's not scored, scored means it has a nice line down the middle of it. So if this is 25, and this is 25, then I can split that pill right down the middle. That's a 50 milligram tablet. So look in your hand and ask yourself, how much am I giving? Is this a per day or is this a per dose? This is a per dose. So again, desired. What is this? a cough syrup to keep people from staying up all night, coughing and coughing and coughing when they have a cold. Desired over have times my quantity. That's all I'm using here. Couldn't be simpler. If I know there's 7.5 in every 5 mils, can I always ask myself what's in one? 7.5 divided by 5 would be 1.5 per mil. So let's put 30 in, divided by 7.5, times by 5. I would need 20 milliliters. Yeah? 4 times this would equal 4 times this. Can I put 7.5 in my computer and times it by 4? Either way, I'm still finding my 30. So with 20 mils, I'm ready to go. Give my patient her med. All right, next one. Buspirone, which is Buspar, which is a antidepressant drug. Right here, it's saying my tablets are 15 milligrams, but my patient needs 7.5. So what does 15 have to do with 7.5? If I were to split that 15 in half, how much would be on each side of this tablet? Well, 7 and 7 would be 14. So half of 15 is 7.5. So does it make sense? Set it up. 7.5 over 15 milligram tablets. So I need to give 2. Fabulous. My digoxins here, don't I see that there's a relationship? How many 0.125s are in 0.25? So if I look at them in my hand, 125 plus 125 should equal my 0.25.